One of the most anticipated launches of this year was BioWare's return to their hit sci-fi action RPG franchise Mass Effect, after a 5-year hiatus with Mass Effect Andromeda. Except when the game launched, it got subjected to vicious criticism from fans and the media, leading in turn to lower than expected sales, and prematurely terminated support for the game, as well as rumors that the series was suspended for the time being. However, speaking to Game Reactor, EA's Executive Vice President Patrick Sutherland said that there's no reason for EA to not return to Mass Effect at some point in the future, also pointing out that the game got more criticism than it deserves. Sutherland said, "Well, my personal opinion is, I think that the game, I usually don't do this, but this is one of those places where I feel like the game got criticized a little bit more than it deserved. I think the game is actually a great game. Yes, we have to acknowledge the fact that there were some things that maybe we could have done better, absolutely, but as a whole, if you go in and you buy the game today with everything that's in it today, I believe that that's a game worth buying personally." So that's the first thing I'll say. The second thing I'll say is, for Mass Effect as a franchise that has such a big fan base, and I've seen people saying, "Oh, EA is not making another Mass Effect." I see no reason why we shouldn't come back to Mass Effect. Why not? It's a spectacular universe, it's a loved series, it has a big fan base, and it's a game that has done a lot for EA and for BioWare. What we need to be careful though of is, whenever we bring Mass Effect back again, we have to make sure that we bring it back in a really relevant way, and in a fresh, exciting place. That's my job, and that's Casey's job, and BioWare and the Mass Effect team's job, to figure out what that looks like, and that we don't know yet, but we will. The return of Casey Hudson to BioWare, his statements emphasizing his desire for another game in the series, and now Sutherland's remarks seem to indicate that the future of the series may not be as bleak as many have originally suspected. Hopefully, if there is a new Mass Effect game, it's loved far more by the fans than Andromeda. Sega's Yakuza Kiwami arrives on August 29th for the West, with Yakuza 6 The Song of Life coming in March 2018. However, there may be yet another remake of a classic Yakuza coming soon with Yakuza Kiwami 2. At least according to a listing on the Taiwanese PlayStation Store, which has since been pulled. The listing said that Yakuza Kiwami 2, which would be a remake of Yakuza 2, would release on December 7th for the Taiwanese PlayStation Store. This is likely the Japanese release date for the game as well, so it could be a while before it arrives in the West. Late 2018 wouldn't be too much of an exaggeration if/when Sega decides to bring it over to North America and Europe. A Yakuza event will be held soon, so it's likely that Sega will officially announce Yakuza Kiwami 2 and other projects for the coming year. Half-Life 3 and Episode 3 are unlikely to ever happen. Valve has moved entirely to a games-as-a-service model, and single-player prestige projects are no longer something that it seems to be pushing for. Meanwhile, most of the talent, including all major writers who ever worked on Half-Life at Valve, have left. That includes Marc Laidlaw, who has previously lamented the fate of the Half-Life series. Yesterday, possibly in an attempt to get the conclusion to the Half-Life 2 arc, which ended on a massive cliffhanger in Episode 2, out to the public and fans, Laidlaw posted the entire story for the planned Episode 3 on his blog. The names were previously changed to avoid direct legal liability, and keep in mind that this is a story outline from probably 2008 to 2009, given that it seems to ignore Portal, but we finally know how the story was intended to end, once long ago. The story is exciting, epic, and depressing, and it also ends with an ambiguous open end that seems to set up Alex as the protagonist of Half-Life 3, and keeps the G-Man's motivations unclear and the fate of Gordon Freeman uncertain. Incredibly, Laidlaw has also thrown in some not-so-subtle commentary and jabs regarding Valve and what the studio has become. You can check out the entire plot via the link in the description below. Norman Reedus recently spoke about the upcoming Kojima Productions developed title Death Stranding, and also about what it's like working with Hideo Kojima, and he's had nothing to say but really positive things. Reedus says the game is unreal and calls Kojima a genius and a visionary, saying that when Kojima first showed him the concept for the game, he didn't fully understand what was completely on board with whatever it was that the game maker wanted to do. "It's mind-blowing," Reedus said when asked in an interview with CNET about what it's like working on Death Stranding with Hideo Kojima. "He's a genius. He came out to San Diego for Comic-Con and he had some stuff on an iPad that he wanted to show me. I sat in a little restaurant at a booth watching this iPad and the things he'd created, and I was just blown away. I was like, whatever you want to do, let's do it. I don't even know what you're talking about. It's unreal. People will do whatever he wants because he's a visionary." That seems encouraging, to say the least. Death Stranding will feature a pretty strong cast of actors, including Norman Reedus, Mads Mikkelsen, and Guillermo del Toro, and all of them have had some pretty positive things to say about both the game and the experience of working with Hideo Kojima. There's also been several rumors that actress Stephanie Houston, who portrayed Quiet in Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, might be playing a role in the upcoming game too, but those reports remain unconfirmed so far. Eastnet's Shenmue 3 received its first teaser at Gamescom, showcasing a small slice of a build that's currently in development. Along with new appearances for the main characters and some fresh faces, we also get a look at the world of Shenmue. Of course, this is an early build that to a small piece of it, the final product is still a ways off and we'll see improvements down the line. Keep that in mind before freaking out about facial animations and immersion. After the series hiatus following Shenmue 2, Shenmue 3 was anticipated for years and years. The game was finally announced at E3 2015 with its Kickstarter launch for the same. It was subsequently delayed into the second half of 2018, but YesNet promised more information, including a publishing deal with Deep Silver. Shenmue 3 is coming to PS4, but will also release on PC. If Crackdown 3 ends up launching in 2018, it will launch a full 4 years after its initial reveal and announcement, a rather shocking state of things. Crackdown 3 has multiple developers working on it, has been propped up as the showcase for multiple technologies over its development cycle, and has been repeatedly delayed. Originally, it was due to launch in 2016. Speaking of Polygon, Xbox head of first-party Shannon Loftus admitted that announcing the game as early as Microsoft did had been a mistake. "I think we probably announced Crackdown too early," she said. "We definitely underestimated the challenge of making sure the quality bar of all 3 of those modes was high and it delivers on what we need to deliver on." She also reiterated something that Xbox boss Phil Spencer has been saying for a while too, that Microsoft has learned from this and intends to not announce games this early going forward. "I think in the past we've made the mistake of announcing some exclusives a little bit too early. We're trying to learn from that mistake and do better, so we have a bit that's in development now that we're not talking about," she said. "We understand their caution, and it is at least good to see them be aware of their mistakes and working to learn from them. But it is important for us to point out, when fans and media are losing confidence in your platform because of a perceived lack of first-party support, maybe it is okay to bend the rule a little and keep fans invested over a longer term. We really hope Microsoft has some fresh, new announcements in the works." The Xbox One exclusive situation is extremely dire. The Nintendo Switch is going to have more exclusives in its first 9 months on the market than the Xbox One will have had in 2016 and 2017 put together, a situation made even worse by the delay of Crackdown 3 into next year. But Microsoft's Aaron Greenberg doesn't seem to think that. He in fact not only believes that Xbox has the biggest exclusives, but also that Microsoft is hitting fans non-stop with compelling exclusive content. "People pick Xbox because we have the biggest franchises, the biggest exclusives, whether you're a fan of Halo or Gears of War or Forza," Greenberg said during Microsoft's Gamescom panel. "This holiday personally, I'm really excited, because Xbox One will be the only console where you'll be able to play Forza 7, Cuphead, and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which we are super excited about. Also timed with the Xbox One X launch, we have Super Lucky's Tale coming. That's exclusive. But it doesn't stop there, because into the spring, we have Sea of Thieves, State of Decay 2, and Crackdown 3. So we're basically non-stop hitting our fans with more and more exclusive titles, so there will be tons of great games to play." So let's start with some observations there. Of the exclusive games still to come this year, only 2 are retail exclusives, making for a grand total of 3 retail exclusives for Xbox One from Microsoft for the entire year. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is a major win, but is it a permanent exclusive for Xbox? This is without getting into the fact that the 3 major spring 2018 exclusives he named are all games that were due out this year. Some were due out last year, and they keep getting delayed. Are we actually sure they won't be delayed again next year? Even if they aren't, is it an achievement to finally launch games that Xbox announced as many as 4 years ago by the time these games do launch? Greenberg went on to say that the Xbox One X's true appeal is in the fact that it will have the best playing and looking versions of all games on the market. This, at least, is a stance that is hard to take issue with. The great thing as a gamer is no matter if you're a fan of RPGs, or racers, or shooters, no matter what kind of game you like, these games are going to look and play better on Xbox One X, he said. And this is true for all third-party Microsoft games, such as they are, and third-party multi-platform games. The Xbox One X is always going to have the best version. The question is, will that be enough to make people spring on a $500 console? That's something that remains to be seen. That'll be it for this video. If you like what we're doing, please go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.